Hi, everyone. It's Dibblee for Frock Talk Television. I am the CEO and host for today's show. And with me, I have the fabulous Sue Ferreira, who is the big brain, the technology guru. I mean, I think she says she's the old bitty techie. I think she's the hottie with the most of the knowledge. So that doesn't rhyme quite as well, but it certainly tells who she is. I'm going to hand off to her in a few minutes or a few seconds. And we also have with us today our fabulous guest, Joanne Neweduk, who is a co-author in the Freedom edition of Frock Off, Living Undisguised, and many, many more things. We're going to be sharing information on that. So for now, I want to thank you for taking the time to be with us today and, you know, taking the time to view, because I know there are other things you could be doing. We're going to be doing all things Frock Talk, because really what happens is we come together in this situation to share, you know, to express ideas that will help you remove any barriers that are holding you back in your life. So for now, though, what I'd like to do is I'd like Sue to say a few words, because what she's doing in the world and her mission in the world is making a significant impact to take you from using your knowledge to create an abundance of wealth. So Sue, would you mind sharing a little bit about what you're doing, please?
Sure, I'd love to. You know, I got to the age where I was going to retire from medicine, and I'm never going to retire because, frankly, I would get bored totally. So I wasn't really looking for this to do, but things come into your lap, you have life-changing moments, and I realized how many folks really have so many gifts that really many, many more people need to hear from. And like Joe said, I got this kind of little bitty techie dude gene in me. And I just know that so many folks haven't got a true appreciation of what the web can do for them and how it can do it. So that's what I'm helping folks do. Take their wisdom and turn it into wealth. And there's a lot of folks who really have so much to give, and I just want to help them give and then benefit the people who receive their wisdom. So that's me, and I'm over and out.
Awesome. So I told you, this is the big brain behind Frock Talk Television. She knows her stuff. And you know, it's really amazing because this show today is a little bit more about reinvention. So it's interesting how everything segues. And we were just talking prior to coming on air about the fact that things just kind of roll into each other and that there's an amazing connection. And that's what I've found even doing this show and you know, as we meet and chat with different people. Today's show, as I said, is going to feature one of the most amazing women who, you know, when Frock Off, Living Undisguised first came out, she raised her hand and became a huge supporter, became part of our 12 for 12 membership, really not even knowing what that looked like, contributed her story to the Freedom Edition, and has been a huge fan. And not just a fan, but somebody who believes in the mission of us changing the world. So, you know, and it's amazing because Joanne has just recently, again, I would say reinvented herself, but she works with women and with Fabulous at 50 in Calgary, helping them understand that these are the best years of your life. This is not pasture, ladies. No, this is about reinvention and about enjoying the best of who you are. So, Joanne, I'm going to ask you to share a little bit about why you got into this business. Like, what was the driving factor? Because you're basically running two full-time things. What was it that prompted you to say, hey, I got to be part of this change? So share a little bit about yourself, please.
All right. Well, thank you. First of all, thank you, Joe, for inviting me to be on. It is such an honor. And I guess to share a little bit about myself is, as you said, I was reinventing myself, or as we would say for Fabulous at 50, re-experiencing. Because we're always talking about the Fabulous at 50 experience and re-experiencing. And so I was re-experiencing myself in many, many ways. I was re-experiencing what it was like to be in a new relationship after a divorce. I was experiencing what it was like to go back to school and reclaim my status of RN after years, at 50 years old, being back in school. And then most importantly, re-experiencing how I was going to share my talent with the world. From the time I was about 15, I got involved with raising money for charities. So I had done a lot of event planning, and I had done coaching, and I done so many things that just filled my heart and I loved. I had never considered myself a business person. So the way I got into this at 50 was I was I was introduced to the founder, Diana Bose, and I took a leap of faith and said, yes, this is everything I love to do, and I will learn how to do it as a business.
Yeah, and you have done a phenomenal job. I've also witnessed, or been witness, I guess, to some of your fundraising activities, and oftentimes we don't realize that everything that we have done has led us to where we are, and that's also a common thread with Frock.
Absolutely.
Right, because we don't realize that, you know, all these skill sets that we've gleaned over the years, they are the things that will help us, you know, do the thing that we dream when we don't even know necessarily what we dream. Isn't that true? Like, you know.
Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely. When this came along, it honestly was everything I ever wanted wrapped up in a bow. And I started wanting to manifest that. I started truly putting faith and to talk Frock Talk, after I'd released many frocks that were holding me back, I needed to be willing to don some, the positive ones, of saying, I can do this. And it really was about, because Fabulous at 50 is about bringing a community of women. I'm all about creating a community. And it's about empowering women, inspiring women, and educating women. But what I like, even more importantly, it's about getting everyday women, we'll say it as everyday women that might just think they're in the shadows. They've been the moms of the world. They just do their job. They don't think they're wild and crazy and everything's for everybody else to do. That's how I used to be. It was like, oh, well, that's what other people do. But what's really important is not just inspire these women, but get them to realize they are the inspiration for others. Not just educate, but get them to realize they are the ones educating each other. And most importantly, they empower each other. So it's not waiting for someone else to do it. It's realizing that you are the source for others as well.
I totally agree, and I've known Diana for quite some time. I love when you said wrapped in a bow. I thought, how convenient that her last name, you know.
Yes.
Which is, I think, is so perfect. I mean, how fitting is that? But also, what you know, when you talk about women standing in the shadows, and that's so much a part of, you know, the whole world of Frock Off and Frock Talk television, because we, you know, our society has taught us that if you're 20 years old and you weigh 10 pounds, okay, maybe 20, that you may have something more to offer than the woman or the man who's been around for, say, 70 years. The reality is, how sad would it be if we don't continue to tap into that wisdom and that sharing? If you look at previous societies, it was the opposite. The youngest, so to speak, I'm dating myself. My little grandson, who's 8, said to me, he was visiting recently, and he said, Grandma, back in the day, and I cracked up. Back in the day, you're 8. What is back in the day, right?
That's cute.
But it was so cute. But really, back in the day, I even remember when I was younger, like I'm 54, and I remember, you know, it was Mr. and Mrs., and that there was wisdom that would be imparted. And I loved hanging out with people that were, you know, in their 70s, they were in their 80s. I was kind of an anomaly, I know that. But
you know what? I was very similar. I've had the blessing of being in several different women's groups, and for a variety of different reasons. And one of them, I was absolutely the youngest. So what I love is I, at 50, get to be the baby when I'm in this group. I still occasionally go golfing. And the group of women, they range from, they're 60, 70, and the oldest in our group is 81 years old.
That's awesome.
And she outplays me, like by a mile. I personally have had incredible role models in my life. My own grandfather lived to be 99 years old and on his own till 98. So to me, I never looked at 50 or in our 50s as the time for winding down. To me, it was a chance to do things without the pressures. Here's my thing, is that I know when I was in my 20s, and many young women feel this in their 20s and 30s, because the expectation is they're supposed to be good at what they're doing.
Yeah.
There's such a pressure. And what if they're not really good at it? And if you did what I did, is if there was something I was scared of not being good at, I sometimes avoided doing it.
Yeah.
It was a frock of embarrassment.
Yes.
A frock of imperfection or perfectionism.
Yeah.
So as I got older, I got to the point where there's something magical when you become 50. Basically, if you're still doing something, if you're going skiing, you're going hiking, you're getting out there and doing things in the world, people suddenly think you're fantastic.
Well, we are.
I should probably ski better now than when I did when I was younger, you know? So it is a time to reinvent. It is a time to say, what have I always wanted to do in my life and haven't done it yet?
Mm-hmm.
Because I believe strongly we have a choice to create our lives as fabulous.
Exactly.
But everybody's fabulous is different.
Exactly. And I think it's a very good point. I think the other, my daughter's 35, and what I think, where where you're going with regards to a lot of pressure, there is a lot of pressure to perform. And, Sue, I'd love you to jump in, because you know that the whole age range has changed dramatically. Like, we're not looking anywhere. Like, Freedom 55 is hilarious. But not only that, knowing where we're going, this is why the implication of being involved in your life. And I know, Sue, you can shed some information on that. So I'd love you to share.
Mm-hmm. Well, I totally agree just with what Joanne said about her grandfather living to 99. And I actually went to medical school 50 years ago this October, which is kind of scary. But over those 50 years, I have watched patients get older, people get older and older and fitter and fitter and fitter. And now, we are putting in new knees in people who are 94, 95, because they're going concerns. And I had this fantastic lady who was 94. She's getting her second knee replacement, had a previous knee done a year earlier. And she said, I'm so excited. I can now get back to my Tai Chi and my gardening. We are going to go through into the hundreds and 20s. And I'm going to talk about this at Canmore. I think we're actually going to go further than that. So 50 is a young'un.
Yeah,
and you're absolutely right, Joanne. It's a young'un.
50 is fabulous.
Yeah, and so will 100 be. And 150, it's huge, but it has massive psychological and social implications. This increasing life and good quality life that we're going to have.
Well, there has been countless studies already done saying that the babies that are being born right now are going to hit 150.
Oh yeah.
So we're only a third. If you look at that, if all things equal and we take care of ourselves, like common sense, okay?
Yeah.
Then we have a lot of time. We might, we need to, a couple of things we want to do is quality of life. When you talk about prevention, and also, that quality of life may have to include generating income.
Yes.
Like
you
said,
what I'm all about.
Yes. There's going to be a very, very wide range of,
exactly.
And you mentioned health. Health is huge. Because there's also studies saying that some of the children that are born now, if they go down the route of unhealthy lifestyles, they will have a much shorter lifespan.
Yes.
What really makes a difference is our health, but our health in the sense of our bodies, our minds, and our souls, and all of it linked together. And Sue is probably aware of this, and she'll have seen it in her patients as well, is all things being equal with our bodies, how socially connected we are and how significant those social connections are is a huge determinant on how well we age.
Yeah.
Because there's a difference between growing old and aging from disease process.
Yeah.
And if we really have, and that's one of the big pushes, I think when you're talking about things tying together, for me as a nurse and having, my nursing and medical background, I was so excited about the concept of Fabulous at 50 because it was a little bit different than what was out there. There's lots of wonderful business groups out there, and they're fantastic when you want to develop your business. Mm-hmm. But what was missing was really amazing social interconnected groups. There's getting lots more now, but that's what is needed. And so having one where it's your cohorts and women that are going through similar development stages in their life, and bringing us together and saying, okay, what makes us excited? What makes our heart sing that we've forgotten about? Or what makes our heart sing that we want to enhance and share with others?
I totally agree. And I think this is the time now where it's about a collective. You know, when we talk, even anything we do, even whether it's at, you know, our Frockalicious live event,
Yes,
or, you know, the whole Frock Talk, we are not one thing. We are not, you know, one business person. We're not just someone's mother. We're not just someone's wife. We're not, you know, we're whole beings, and whole beings require all areas to be satisfied. And that's why I love the whole premise of us getting together and sharing. And I'm so glad that you were in the book, because everyone who tells their story and how they took their frocks off will empower another person, because what resonates with one isn't necessarily going to resonate with someone else. But,
exactly.
You know, and this is the power, and this is also the power of Fabulous at 50, because I'm fortunate to have, you know, known from inception what was going on, and also being very heavily involved with Fabulous at 50, and knowing that it's in Calgary has made such a, you know, for me, that is it's so powerful to know that, because it is a social, but not just a social group to me. There's a difference between a social group that is like, let's get together and have a glass of wine, for example, or a social group that has heart and that has purpose. And
absolutely.
That's
Absolutely.
That's
absolutely.
So,
and I have to say, when you were talking about we have so many different areas, I like to say I'm multifaceted. So, which is likens to a diamond. We're all diamonds, and we have so many different facets. And to put a little plug in for your Frockalicious Life Weekend last year, when I met you, and I really had no idea what this was all about, but I knew your weekend and had a little bit more focus on entrepreneurs. And I was considering being an entrepreneur, but I walked into that weekend a little bit like, I'm a fish out of water here.
Yeah.
But I have to say that weekend actually helped me, spurred me on to be willing to take that step. I met incredible people, and some of the ladies that I met at that weekend are now who I actually have partnered with to help support me. They're part of my team.
And but like it's like, and I'm humbled and honored. You know, it's when we stand up and step into our life to do what we want to do. And, you know, that's why the events don't solely focus on entrepreneurship. They have a lot of entrepreneurship in them, but there's an element of life, because we are all those things. That's why, you know, for myself, it's so amazing to see, because when I met you, you were in a completely different place, and now look at what you're doing. And so it is an honor, and I'm so grateful you could be with us today and share. And, you know, also grateful, hon, that you wrote your piece in the book, because this is the thing, is when people say, I'm going to step up and I'm going to be that change, that's when we change things. So thank you so very much for your time, for all that you're doing in the world. I can't wait to see you again soon. And thank you for your contribution to the book. And Sue, you, as usual, rock the boat, rock the house, and rock, you know, just, it's awesome to be, isn't it amazing when it's like-minded, how conversation flows? And so,
absolutely.
You know, so thank you again, ladies. I can't wait to see you.
Thank you.
And stay tuned for our next Frock Talk Television. Stay tuned to be inspired. Have a Frockalicious day. And remember, don't stand in your story, but stand on it. Take care. Have a great day. Bye-bye.